and welcome to episode 91 of This Week at Shrouded. I'm your host, Agreener. Today with us, we have Mr. Wreck and Dunk. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys need catchphrases for when I introduce you. Come up with some. All right. Anyway, we got a great show for you today.
Ciao.
There you go. Those aren't phrases. Those are just sounds. That's fine. That works.
Chat GPT.
Once again, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be answering some questions from the community. We're going to be talking about our most anticipated games of 2025. I'm going to talk a little bit about Wukong and why I think it's not Game of the Year. Rex wants to talk about a little Marvel Rivals and something going on in that community and any Twitter drama we can come across. So that's basically it. I know this is Destiny podcast. The questions most likely might be Destiny related, or they might not be. They might be community related. But there's a lot going on in the Destiny community today, other than some changes to the current GM, which happened midweek. We will mention that and talk about it and say why it's awesome, and it was a good choice. But in the meantime, we're going to start off with our giveaways. Woo!
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 Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that was kind of sound like the Family Guy dude, the pedophile.
Yeah.
Demonetize instantly. I love it. All right. Anyway, I'm not good at this. I shouldn't host a podcast, but I do it anyway. Anyway, today we got 4 giveaways as opposed to the normal 2. It's the beginning of the month, and we do some extra giveaways at the beginning of the month. If you didn't know, weekly we give away an SGC T-shirt and 2,300 Destiny 2 silver, and then monthly, obviously we give that stuff away again because it's another week. But on the monthly podcast or the beginning of the month, typically we also give away an SGC hoodie and 6,000 silver. Oh my God, it's so much. We'll first start with the weekly stuff, which is ironic because it's the same winner for both of them.
Oh yeah,
Bum, bum, bum. It's the first time we've ever had a double winner for the weekly giveaways. Good thing they're different giveaways now. Because if it was just 2 packages of silver, it'd be interesting. Anyway, so the winner of our weekly 2,300 silver package and our SGC T-shirt goes to the All-Gamer. Congratulations, the All-Gamer.
Fuck that guy. Congratulations.
Well done. Well done.
Indeed. And next up, we have our monthly 6,000 silver draw that went to slothgsr. Congratulations to slothgsr. I didn't know
that drawing, so also fuck that guy, but also congratulations.
I didn't know that guy spent tickets on anything other than gambling. That's crazy. And our last giveaway for the beginning of the month is an SGC premium hoodie. It's delicious. It's amazing. We sold 7,052 tickets, and the winner of the very first ever SGC hoodie draw, well, for the monthly hoodie draw, is Devilito. Congratulations. I know you guys are so happy about that. But there you have it. 2,300 silver and a T-shirt goes to the All-Gamer, 6,000 silver off to slothgsr, and a hoodie off to Devilito 666. Congratulations. If you're watching the podcast and you do not know how to enter our giveaways, you should join our Discord, shroudedgaming.com/Discord. That'll get you right in. And I don't know, ask around, check it out. Basically, we have a loyalty point system for hanging out with the community, playing Destiny, doing a bunch of stuff, and you can use that. You can convert that into potential winnings. That's it. It's a lot more complicated than that, but I'm not going to get into it on here. Join the Discord. All right. Let's get into the talking of stuff. You sound like you want to start off with something.
I'm gonna interrupt. All right. I'm gonna run these by you. You just tell me what you like. It's a beautiful day to carry the team again. Yeah? No? Okay. I'm not saying I'm the MVP, but the scoreboard is.
Oh, I see. These are
Remember, there's no I in team, but there's a lot of me. Okay. Oh, look, you died again. Okay. You're not bad. You're just creatively challenged. Losing builds character. You're overflowing with it. No. Every win starts with me hard carrying. No? All right. I like the way that you respawn repeatedly. Yeah? All right. That's all I got. I have some nice ones too, but I asked chat to make me some cringy ones. So
Okay, well, it did a great job. I thought those were legitimate ones, but great job. No, just so you're clear, I was thinking it's like more things like "What's up, Guardians" or something real short. Damn, not a whole sentence of whatever the fuck those cringe chat GPT nonsense was. I love it though. It was great. Okay.
I mean, I could go. Excuse me, sir. It's time to talk on the podcast or something along those lines. That my butler does seem to break in every once in a while on the pre-show. Anyway.
Yep, that would work. Okay. Anyway, what should we talk about first? We're gonna leave the questions from the community till last. So, yeah, I don't know. Most anticipated games of 2025.
Good. Let's go. What are you looking forward to in 2025, Agreener?
Okay, well, I mean, if I'm going to talk about...
What's your most anticipated game for 2025 as of right now?
My most anticipated game?
Yep.
Death Stranding 2. On the beach.
UPS Simulator is your most... the game you're looking forward to the most?
I fucking loved the first one. It's one of the only games that I've played twice. Like modern games that I've played more than once.
Is that because you like the gameplay or because you're some weird Kojima fanboy?
Well, I like everything Kojima's made. I wouldn't call myself a fanboy. I probably played it because I believed in Kojima, but there's just something about that game that's addictive, and it's great, and it's fun, and the world is interesting. I don't know, man. Anyway, this is going to look incredible.
The ending of the first game confuses people.
It's not that confusing. The woman was an extinction entity. He was able to stop her. The world continued. Like, people think about it too much. Like, it's not complicated. You can boil down the 3-hour ending cutscene into that sentence. that sentence that I just said.
Game's over. Now time to watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which is funny about that is like this Death Stranding's not even close to being his worst game for the amount of dialogue or the dialogue videos and cutscenes. Like that by far goes to Metal Gear Solid 4. Holy fuck, that game. You literally play for 20 minutes and then watch a 4-hour cutscene every fucking over and over and over and over again. It's like, good lord. I'm exaggerating. Anyway, that's my personal most anticipated for 2025. I don't even know if it's going to be out in 2025. However, I've got to say that I think the most anticipated game of 2025 is Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah. That's been hyped up for years now, ever since GTA 5 was such a huge success.
I've never played a Grand Theft Auto. Well, no, I take that back. I played the original Grand Theft Auto on my NES entertainment system, my Nintendo Entertainment System, the old original.
It was on NES. I remember playing it on PC, not NES.
Yeah, the one where it's top down.
Yeah. The first two were.
It was on NES. Pretty sure that's where I played it. I haven't played any of the modern ones. The closest I guess I have played a little tiny bit of Grand Theft Auto Online, but only long enough to realize shit is chock full of cheaters and isn't really any fun. So,
All right. Anyway, yeah. Did you? Or they? There was like a article that came out about they were talking to like. This was crazy for me. They are anticipating in like I don't know, it was like the first month or the first something, $3 billion in revenue.
yeah.
From Grand Theft Auto, and they're expecting $1 billion in pre-sales.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that they're, it's going to be more. It'll be more than what Grand Theft Auto 5 is ultimately grossed in the end, because they're going to be. They're now. They're in that whole 5M online server, side server kind of stuff that, they have interest in all of that now, right? So they're making money off of all of it, right?
Oh, so
just
yeah,
the
they're probably
Grand Theft
building
Auto
their
stuff.
own. You're right. I never thought of that.
But it's not even that they're building their own. It's that 5M is beholden to them now. Like, they're in business with 5M.
Okay. So they.
So
Okay.
so
Either way.
the main utility out there for running your servers, especially like all the RP servers,
Mm-hmm.
it's all directly, it's all money that's going straight back to the company making the game now. So right back to Rockstar.
And that game has sold a ridiculous amount of copies.
It just prints money. Grand Theft Auto Online just is a money printer, man.
No, but like, listen, you know how we talk about games that sell or whatever it happens to be, and we're like, oh my god, it sold 5 million copies. We're even talking about Wukong this year when it hit 20 million copies. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold over 200 million copies of the game since it was released in what was that, like 2011?
And still sells copies today. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they still sell. It's always on like the best selling list. That probably includes Shark Bucks, but maybe I don't. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not 100% sure. It's also the most successful, from what I understand. It's the most successful media ever created. It's made the most revenue out of any piece of like interactive media ever created. That's movies, TV shows, video games. It's made more money than any one thing, with over $8.5 billion in revenue. And that game, listen, this like Grand Theft Auto was popular, but it wasn't that popular. So when they created their budget for that game was $265 million.
Yep.
And it's rumored, it's not confirmed, but the budget for GTA 6 is roughly, get this, $2 billion. $2 billion.
They'll make all that back.
They'll make all that back in the first week. But listen, there's been a lot of talk about budgets and whatever it happens to be over the last few years, and then we see something that's apparently has a $400 million budget just completely tank. But typically, when you see games, AAA games that release and do well, it's like Spider-Man 2, a $315 million budget. I bet Elden Ring's budget was probably 200 million, but let me check. Budget 200 million. I nailed it. Fuck. I'm smart, man. I could look up more, but they're always anywhere between 100 and 300 million typically. I bet God of War was like 250 million.
Yeah, I bet you'll find that a lot of AAA games all float around that same budget.
240.
So real quick,
So-
just to kind of jump in here, but
Mhm.
I am saying that it's not necessarily that the base game is costing $2 billion. It's that the entire life of the game is going to cost $2 billion. That's how much has been allocated for the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
I mean, yeah. Well, keep in mind that they're going to probably have the same kind of release schedule as Grand Theft Auto did. So they'll be the base game. There might be some DLC, but there's going to be a shit ton of online content, right? Just a
absolutely.
massive influx of content drops. That's where their money is being made.
Yeah. But listen, this game also doesn't even drop on PC until a year after.
Yeah.
So they're anticipating all these sales from console versions of the game before it even launches on PC in 2026.
Yeah. Which, as of today, it's possible that the game's not even going to launch until 2026. There's some doubt right now out there. Whether it's true or
that's
not
fine.
is
That's
not
fine.
confirmed, but
Yeah. Games get canceled all the time.
Yep.
Anyway, so not canceled, but delayed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto. You imagine Grand Theft Auto 6 gets just canceled. They just wipe it off. They're like, nah, we weren't liking it. Should that be crazy? Also, okay,
Here's
so
Red Dead Redemption 3 instead.
oh man, I would honestly, I would prefer Red Dead Redemption 3.
that's going to be another prequel, though, allegedly.
That's all right.
Yep.
Well, what else could you do? Like honestly, the Wild West ended. Like if you know the stories of the games, basically, this game is like 20 years old, but so it's not a spoiler. But when John dies at the end of the first game, like that's like all the Pinkerton detectives that went out west and started to create law and kind of abolish the old ways of the Wild West. That was all happening throughout both of the games, and they take place like over a 10-year span, probably longer, but over a 10-year span. So like the point is Red Dead Redemption 3, if they make it or whatever it is, it's not going to happen afterwards. It doesn't make any sense. So it pretty much has to be a prequel. Whether it's as closely tied to the people that we've gotten thus far, I have no idea. I don't know why they would. I think they should just just do a brand new story, different people, and then maybe have some cameos from people that we've met. They don't even need to be the popular people like Dutch or I bet a lot of people would love to see Arthur again for like a hot minute, but you just randomly bump into them and wherever you happen to be.
Yeah.
Or maybe a different portion because it's like Louis, like it's New Orleans, I think, where like it doesn't actually make sense. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know. How close is New Orleans to Mexico? Is it close or is it really far away?
I mean, it is on the southern side of the U.S., but also it's not like it's right there. It's a few states over.
Okay, so the map doesn't really make a whole lot of sense then, because Saint Denis is in Red Dead Redemption 2, and then you can ride your horse to Mexico pretty quickly.
But listen, the last thing they want to put in the game where there's things happening in both those locations is like you have to actually ride your horse for multiple actual days to get anywhere. You know what I mean? That wouldn't make any fucking sense.
That would be pretty funny. Hold on, I gotta call the pizza place. You guys talk for a minute.
All right. Dunk, what are you looking forward to in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple games that actually look like they're going to be fun. I'm interested, not really in playing it, but seeing what's going to happen with it. Civilization 7. And that's just because Civ 6 was full of so many bugs and glitches that just broke the game that I really want to see what's going to happen here. So there's that. And then the game that I'm mainly looking forward to is Assassin's Creed Shadows. And that's mainly because I'm hoping it's better than Mirage was.
I mean, me too. I'm hoping all the Ubisoft properties come out all right, so Ubisoft continues to be a company
Yeah.
because they're not doing so hot right now.
No, they're doing really bad right now. So I hope that just for their sake that Shadows actually hits well with the community. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. A lot of people already take issue with Shadows, even though the game's not even out yet. So
This is the one that's in Japan, right?
yeah, feudal
With,
Japan. I guess
what's his
what?
name? How do you pronounce his name? It's not Yasuke. It's I don't know how to pronounce that.
I've never been able to pronounce it. I've seen it a couple times, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll learn it when I play it. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's interesting. Although the one thing that I'm not a huge fan on is the double protagonist method that they've gone for here.
It is Yasuke. All right.
Yeah, like they did it in Assassin's Creed Origins, where you had two different main characters that you played as.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool. Like, I love that you have like that double view of what's going on, and you have different ideals kind of clashing between the two of them and desires and whatnot. But like, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it in Origins, but we'll see how well they do it in Shadows. Maybe they do it in a better way. I know one is going to be a samurai, the other one's going to be
A ninja.
a ninja. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of suits with the whole Assassin's Creed ideals
Well,
and how they stick to the shadows. So
what I know for certain is the game is going to drop, and there's going to be nothing but Twitter drama about it for a while because there's been nothing but Twitter drama about it since it was announced and some details came out. So I guess we'll see how that works out and how that plays into, sales of the game, if it plays into sales of the game at all.
Yeah. The one thing that I love about the entire thing with Shadows right now is that like 4 months ago, people were already review bombing it. And it's just like, guys, the game's not out yet. You know nothing about the game.
The review bombing doesn't have anything to do with how good the game is. It has to do with the DEI politics around it, man. As if you can't have DEI. It's as if you can't have a good game that also has DEI in it. That also has that kind of stuff in it. Like, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think a lot of times people that are trying to force that kind of stuff in the game end up compromising the game itself in order to do it. But just because some of that kind of inclusionary stuff is in a game doesn't mean the game is bad. Like, you can have a good game that also has DEI in it. Like, that is possible.
Okay, I know I just came on the tail end of that, but I assume you're talking
about Assassin's Creed Shadows and some of the controversy that's popped up around it, mostly that from the Gamergate crowd.
I 100% like, not specific to that game, but like I can't understand people's like you saw probably the conversation that I had on Twitter with some random guy about Dragon Age or the Veilguard, and
you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, it just refers to it because his whole argument was like somebody gets misgendered or pronouned or whatever in the game, and they actually acknowledge it. The person apologizes and then goes and does push-ups or something because they felt bad. And we're talking about a potentially an 80, 90 hour, 100 hour game that's got 5 minutes of this stuff in it, maybe 10 overall. That's not the only scene, but say 10 minutes overall of this stuff in it, all dialogue in the game is skippable. You can skip over it. And they will just say it ruins an entire game. And to my brain doesn't, I can't wrap my head around the fact that something like that can ruin the entire game. It's just,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute.
Okay.
Specifically with Veilguard.
Okay.
I think Veilguard is a prime example of how this kind of thing is done badly. The character that it involves is unlikable. That character, I forget their name, but that character is listen, I respect it, all right? It's whatever. That character is completely unlikable, super cunty the entire game. And it's not just in the cutscenes. The voice line that character has just in like as you're running around the world and the little banter that happens like between characters sometimes, or even in combat sometimes, the character is just super cunty. And a lot of times something that will come out that is tangentially related to that storyline from that character, just out of the blue, and something that isn't related to the cutscene. The cutscenes themselves are super fucking preachy. Like they are not done well. They are so preachy, and that is a problem. Like if you're gonna include, if you're gonna blow, if you want to front load inclusion into a game, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Like I don't have. There's.
Are we talking about the same character? Because the little elf, right?
No, we're talking about the dragon bitch. I think.
Okay. Oh, okay. See, the person that gets misgendered
She's-
is the little. I thought it was the
No,
little
it's
elf
the-
girl.
No, it's Tao
Boy,
with the horns, and she wears it as a chip on her shoulder.
I don't
They
run
wear
with
it as
that
a chip on their
character.
shoulder the entire time.
I was like, I
it's
ran.
It's always out in front. Like you want that character to just die. Can I push you off a cliff because you suck? You're annoying, right? But the cutscenes, like the one, all right. So like the scene where you can set your own character's gender identity, it's fine because it's completely optional, right?
Yeah.
You don't even have to interact with it if you don't want to. Like you can just choose to not interact with that and just move on with your game. But the cutscenes involving that character and involving that particular subject matter, while you can just skip right through them, you're playing a Dragon Age game, which means you want to watch the story. You want to watch the cutscenes. Dragon Age games aren't only about they're not about that audience is not about just the gameplay, right? It's about the story and how it connects to everything else. Like that's the reason most people are playing these games, right? Because all the interconnected story stuff. But the way they introduce that particular storyline is over the top preachy and done badly. Like you're never going to win over the other crowd with that. And some people are going to say, "Good, we don't want to win over that crowd." But that is as much of a problem as the people that hate on it. I'm sorry. If you want to just write off all those people as an audience you don't want to have at all, you're almost as bad as they are. The only difference is where you're placing your values and on what social issues. Now, that may irritate some people that I just said that, but, being preachy makes you a cunt-ass bitch. Just fucking stop it. That's all. Especially in a game that you're trying to mass market to people, right? If you want to put your message in the game, fine. But don't just hit people over the head with it and be a cunt about it. Right?
I don't know. I think I have to play more with that character because I've played about 40 hours of Veilguard and I haven't.
Put that character in your team and run around with them, and you will and pay attention to their voice lines, and they're just a fucking asshole all the time. They're unlikable.
All right. Yeah, I don't play with that character, not for any particular reason, but
I don't think Dragon Age is a bad game. If you like action games in that style, I think the game is fine. I think it fits right into that kind of third-person action game genre that some people really enjoy.
It's more like a third-person RPG.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I guess I would call it more RPG light because it's not. I don't think it's as heavy as in RPG elements as even previous entries in that series have been. Right? I think it's a much more streamlined experience.
Maybe 1. I don't know. 2 was very non-RPG like. 3 was better, and 4 is 4. And I haven't finished 4, so I can't talk about it too much. But I've got a good amount of time into it, and I like it a lot. And I didn't find it too bad when it came to that stuff, and that's why I was arguing for it. But maybe I've just The fact that I've missed it though is an entirely relevant point that it's not forced on you,
Well,
even if it is preachy.
like I said, I don't necessarily care about these topics. Like I watch all kinds of I enjoy all kinds of media where this stuff is inserted. And the only time it bothers me is when it's not well done. Like I don't want the media I'm trying to enjoy to be trying to convince me
You ever watch
of,
Sex
of some
Education?
other view. No. But
Okay.
let me tell you something I have watched. Have you watched Chaos on Netflix? KAOS, Jeff Goldblum.
Oh no, that's
It's
the God one, right?
yeah, it's a
Yeah, I
show
haven't
that
seen
is
that.
it's a modern day retelling of Greek tragedy, right? And like all Greek tragedy, there is a shit ton of sex, and the sex is not all just men and women. It's not even just all human and human, all right? There's all kinds of weird shit in there.
Ooh.
And it's fine. Like it's fine. It all makes sense for when it all makes sense when it comes up, and it's not being thrown in your face to be titillating, but it's also not trying to convince you to change your worldview. It just is. This is a thing, right?
You're saying it's well done. Is your
It's
point.
presenting it as something that's just normal for the context of what you're watching, and it works fine, and it doesn't, it's not jarring, right?
The reason I brought up Sex Education is because there's 4 seasons of Sex Education, and the first 3 seasons are incredibly well done, and it has all of that stuff in it, and it doesn't feel jarring at all. It feels like it fits within the world. It's perfect. And then season 4 come out. I don't know what happened, but they just took a giant fucking inclusivity hammer and started beating everybody over the head with it. And it pulled you right out of it. I almost didn't finish it. I stopped. So my point is, yeah, I think you're 100% right when it's done right, and it doesn't feel like you're being pulled out of whatever it is you're doing too hard to make you believe that this should be happening. There's no reason to complain about it, but it can definitely be done poorly. And that was just my example of it because
So again, I'm all for inclusion in media, all media, including my games. I just want it to be done well,
right.
right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't want it to turn people into caricatures of real world issues.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's doing anybody a good service.
So this got started while I was away. You were talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. So are people still complaining that the samurai is a black dude?
No, I mean we were talking about how what we're thinking about the game itself, and I just happened to bring up the DEI portion because when the game finally drops, that's going to be
an issue. Yeah, you either have to play as a black guy or a woman, and people are going to lose their mind.
It's not historically correct. All Assassin's Creed games are 100% historically correct.
If they put like this crazy ass like Stellar Blade character in that Assassin's Creed that was just a sexual, and nobody would have given a fuck. They don't care about anything if it's historically accurate.
Is your mic working?
What's up?
Have you played all the Assassin's Creed games?
I've played most of them. There's only one game I haven't played, and that's Origins.
It's the worst one.
If I told you, listen, Dunk, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take a history test, and history covers all the same time periods that the Assassin's Creed games cover. And if you get an A on this history test, you get a 90%, I'm going to give you $10,000. Are you going to use the Assassin's Creed game as your study guide in order to prepare for that test? Because they're completely 100% factual and tie into real history.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm pretty sure I fought Medusa in one of the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah,
and a Minotaur.
Yeah,
And
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
The entire storyline is based on the fact that humans existed before our current generations of humans. Like,
Correct.
we re-evolved, and there was this huge technologically advanced species that was destroyed by a fucking sun explosion. And then we re-evolved, and it was happening again. And then somehow the main character in the first 3 Assassin's Creed game used technology that they found that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old to stop the sun from blowing up again. But no, let's worry about historically accurate dog shit.
Wait a minute,
Nobody
that's
gives
not
a fuck.
historically accurate.
No, it's not.
So
It didn't happen.
here is the one thing about the history like presented in Assassin's Creed that I will say. The one thing that they do really well is provide detailed information about some of the historical buildings that you
Yeah.
come across. They actually at least do that correctly.
They
But
actually
beyond that, no.
Sorry, they had a mode in Assassin's Creed Origins that was like historical mode, and you could travel through Egypt, what they had built, and it would it was like a little thing that you'd kind of fly through or walk through. I'm not entirely sure, and they'd give you actual historical information about the buildings and the people and some of the big names or whatever. But when you're in the actual gameplay, like they change all that stuff all the time. Like, anyway, doesn't matter.
All right. Listen, chat.
Sure.
I'm sorry we got a little close to talking about politics. I don't think anybody expressed any like serious political views here other than we just want good games no matter what happens to be included in them. But now we're going to move on to what I'm looking forward to, which is not going to be controversial at all.
Hold on, that's so funny. Devil said in chat, man, I hope no one jumped off a building thinking you can land in a haystack.
Wait a minute, that's not accurate. There goes my weekend plans.
God damn it. Anyway,
Drats.
we're not talking about Star Wars. Go away.
No, my most anticipated game right now of 2025 is Monster Hunter. It'll be the very first time I really invest any time into Monster Hunter. Played in the beta, enjoyed it. I have been looking for something to scratch my Destiny itch in another game for a long time. I'm hoping the loot chase in this one does that, even though I know that Monster Hunter games aren't a traditional like live service.
They're live service-y.
They're but they when you get into one of them, you know that there's an end date, right? You know that this game is not going to be a super long-term thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that this will hit a little better for me than Borderlands does, because Borderlands is the same kind of deal in terms of trying to do a little bit of
the type of live
stuff.
Yeah,
but Borderlands does not do it for me after one playthrough. And I don't really. We've talked about this before. I'm not really a huge fan of Borderlands anyway.
Monster Hunter's not really a looter either.
The dialogue is really cringy in Borderlands for me after Borderlands 2, and I don't like it. It's like just sitting in 7 chat all the time. You gotta take that shit in small chunks. Sorry, Dunk. Sorry, Phonic, if you're still in the chat.
Oh, anyway. He's definitely here, and he's mad at you.
But I'm looking forward to giving it a go, and I hope I can get some more people to play.
No,
I'm also looking forward to a couple of other games. Marathon's supposed to drop. I'm hoping that's going to do well. Marathon's supposed to drop next year. And there's another extraction shooter called Arc Raiders coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
That is it was originally going to be a live service looter, but they pivoted to turn it into a PvEVP extraction shooter. But it's got a 70s sci-fi aesthetic, but without all like from 70s sci-fi television shows, but without the camp. And I'm really looking forward to giving it a try.
70s sci-fi, like, are we talking alien type futuristic?
Well,
or something else?
It's kind of a post-apocalyptic Earth where most of civilization's been destroyed by these robots.
Yeah.
And the game is going to revolve around going into these large zones and doing Tarkov stuff, collecting loot and extracting with your loot, while all these robots are going on that all have their own individual mechanics and not just like set pieces like you typically have in Tarkov, but while other groups are also walking around. And it's even got
but
some things in there to try to attract people that normally aren't into these games, like protection pouches and stuff like that. So you always extract with some stuff, right? Even if you get killed.
Well, Tarkov has that. That's not.
So
You do
I'm looking
quests. You do quests in Tarkov to increase the size of that box that you bring into the raids with you.
I'm looking forward to giving it a try. I hope I can find some people to play. But the one thing that worries me about like Arc Raiders and Marathon is that the game's gonna launch and I'm not gonna be able to find anyone to actually play the fucking thing with, because I don't want to play these games by myself.
You'll be able to find somebody to play Marathon with. Don't worry.
That sounds completely not fun to play this shit yourself. Like,
one thing about running a Destiny community, it's not people love Bungie. They're gonna play the game in the community, 100%. It's gonna be big, and if it ends up sucking, it'll go away quickly. But if it's good, people will keep playing. We'll have to create some sort of system.
Yeah.
to allow group ups easier.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay. I want to ask Dunk.
Yes, sir.
What's your most anticipated game for 2025 is? I have an idea, but
yeah, we talked about it. Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Okay, that's why you brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
so, aren't you a Civilization player?
I do. And that's the other game I brought up as well, was Civilization 7. But as I mentioned before, it was mainly because I want to see how many bugs and glitches are going to be in the game. Because Civ 6 was plagued with so many bugs and glitches that it was hilarious.
Okay. I was just curious because I knew that's coming out in like February or something. I was wondering what your thoughts about it were. Okay, sorry. I missed that you were the one that brought that conversation to the forefront. I'm definitely going to play Shadows, but only because it came free with my video card when I bought my computer. Same reason I'm going to play Outlaws, because they both came, or one came free with my CPU and one came free with my video card. So I'm going to play them eventually. I know Outlaws has been out for a few months, but Shadows was delayed. So
better hit, because Ubisoft is going to fold here soon if it doesn't get some wins.
They're not going to fold. They're going to get bought out this year. Wait for it. It's going to happen. Someone big's going to come in and swoop in and buy them out, unless they somehow drop, unless Assassin's Creed Shadows somehow sells 15 million copies.
I mean, you gotta assume that between the Tom Clancy stuff and the Assassin's Creed and the Far Cry stuff, that they've got some IPs that somebody can still make some money off of if they just get the management out. Good
development teams on them, I don't know what's going on. Those development teams are good and they're good at it. So let me scratch what I said. Somehow it's being mismanaged to shit. Anyway, if you get somebody that's willing to put the money and the time into those franchises, you can come up with some good stuff. And even Ubisoft's done it. My favorite Assassin's Creed game is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was only 5 years ago. That game was fucking incredible.
Yeah, that was a great game. I loved it so much.
And we'll see about Shadows. I didn't play Mirage last year. I got too into the RPG Assassin's Creed. I think they're great. I know that might not be a popular opinion. Everybody wants to go back to what Mirage did, the sneak around and assassinate people, which is not what Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla was all about. But I really liked Odyssey. I never played Origins, ironically. And I did like most of Valhalla, but I hated it as a completionist. It was fucking terrible.
It is a massive map that you have to play with. It's a lot.
And you have to, the problem with it is you have to unlock everything. But here's the thing. You had to do that in Odyssey too, and I had no problem with it. which shows why one is so much better than the other. Because I didn't want to do all that in Valhalla. And I played Odyssey for like over 100 hours, and I could have played more. I played all the DLCs. I never got any of the DLCs for Valhalla. I wasn't interested. So either way. Anyway, I'm excited to try Shadows. I probably would have never bought it if I didn't get it for free, ironically, but I'm going to give it a shot because I have it. Monster Hunter Wilds, just because you brought it up, I want to just kind of give my opinions on the ones you were talking about. I really liked World. I probably put 150, 200 hours into World. But for some reason, this like the trailers I'm seeing for Wilds just aren't pulling me in. But if it's big in the community, I'll probably pick it up. I don't know what that other game is that you mentioned, the Extraction Shooter. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. What else is coming out here? I'm looking at a couple lists here. Oh, Fable 3. That might be some people's. Gears of War E-Day, the prequel. I'm not interested. I don't like prequels in most cases. Like, unless there's 0 sense to make a sequel, which there might be in Gears, to be fair. I never played Gears 5. They may have ended the war and all the characters died. So who knows? But anyway, we got a prequel. Doom the Dark Ages is coming out. I don't even know what that's going to be, but it's probably going to be amazing, right? I don't know if you guys play this stuff. And then, of course, we got Borderlands 4, which the trailer looked fucking terrible. And Randy Pitchford is just a fucking idiot. So I'm kind of tired of playing with his games. He's just the weirdest fucking dude. And I don't know, he needs a PR team to just reel him in. Like, there's something wrong with that, man.
Story time about Borderlands.
In a minute, I'm gonna go over these games. Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is coming out. Looks awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna play it. You don't like remakes, or
I don't have a problem with remakes in general. I don't like remakes that win awards personally, but I don't like Metal Gear.
Oh, you're crazy, man.
Metal Gear, at a certain point, Metal Gear jumped the shark, and it went like Metal Gear was always a little tongue in cheek, you know. Even like the very first Metal Gear on the NES was tongue in cheek, right? But at a certain point, it just got too far out there for me, and I couldn't take it seriously anymore. And Solid Snake always being so serious all the time, and then all this like weird bullshit going on around him. It irritates me. I'm an old man, and it irritates me.
So am I. But I've been playing that shit since I was a teenager. So you grow up with it. It doesn't. The old man argument doesn't count. I love that stuff. I think it's incredible. The storytelling is amazing. I know it's silly. I know it's campy, but it's meant to be. So if you go into it like rolling with it, oh man, it's so fun. And it's Kojima, right? It's just the way he makes it. Like, you've seen probably the Death Stranding 2 trailers. He's got like a stop motion puppet on his fucking hip that talks to him. There's a guitar sword fight in the middle of the trailer. Like, it's all the same stuff that he brings to all the Metal Gear games, and I love it. It's batshit crazy storytelling, and gameplay that is unrivaled. So anyway, Metal Gear Solid 3 was one of the best that he made. So I'm excited to see what it looks like and how it plays and how it feels when it's a full remake. Also, I want to be clear. I've got no problem with like full-on remakes of games winning awards. So I don't like when remasters or expansions win Game of the Year. But a remaster and a remake is completely different things. Like, a lot of people were talking about, like, when we were talking about Game of the Year and how Shadow of the Erdtree shouldn't be in there. And a lot of people were like, well, what about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
It's a different game. It's two different games.
you can't like. They've taken the story from a 20-year-old game and put it into a completely brand new thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the general concept and storyline around it, but it's like this. I don't know.
It's not
I
the
would
same
have.
gameplay. It's not the same story. There are some characters that have the same names, but they're not even really the same characters.
It gets confusing. Half of them are and half of them aren't. It's wild. Anyway, and then what was I going to say? Oh, things like people say things like like Resident Evil 4 when it was remade, it didn't deserve any awards. But I mean, that fucking game was incredible, and it was 20 years later. Like it wasn't even. It was a long time ago. All the Resident Evil remakes are really well done, really well made. Now the Dead Space remake, I would walk a line with that one because it's like the original still holds up really well, and they basically just gave it a facelift. But anyway, it's tricky. I guess it's weird. It's weird where you draw the line.
When
on,
The Last of
remakes.
Us got a remaster, it didn't need any more accolades. It was exactly the same game with a fresh coat of paint.
Well, that's a remaster too, right? Like,
Yeah,
but
I
The
mean-
Last of Us was remade. That game was remade from the ground up for PlayStation 5. It's not a remaster. There was a Last of Us remaster
That's what I'm talking.
on PlayStation 4, but then it got a remake on PlayStation 5. And then The Last of Us 2 got a remaster on PlayStation 5 too. And that's why everybody was like, "What's Naughty Dog doing?" And then here they come with a brand new IP.
Last of Us for as much money as they can, obviously.
Yeah, duh. Hello. All right. Anyway, we'll move on from that. The last game I want to mention is Elden Ring Night Rain. That comes out next year.
Another money grab.
Another money grab. But I don't know. From Software, like I've never seen anything from them that was just looked like they phoned it in. So we'll see. We'll see. I know it's not typical Souls-like, but I'm interested in looking at like a roguelite Elden Ring multiplayer game. Sounds fun. I'm sure they're gonna nail it. They're pretty good.
Okay.
Except for Miyazaki's not the director of the game though, so maybe it's just gonna fucking fall on its face and die because he might be the glue that holds everything together. We don't know. I suppose.
Like I said, money grab. I hope it does well. I hope they make money. I hope it funds more projects. But
I wonder what Miyazaki's working on now.
roguelike, boss rush, your dumbass friends. I'll pass on that.
Sounds fun. All right, I think that's the only thing I can think of right now.
right.
If there's any other games anybody wants to talk about, feel free to. I'll pick it out of the chat, but I won't pay attention to the chat.
Yeah, okay. All right, so is anyone playing Marvel Rivals at all right now besides me?
Just give me one. Or I did. Okay, so I played half of one match.
I mean, that counts, I guess.
I installed it. I brought it up. Went into a quick play or whatever it is. Picked Spider-Man. And I played it for about 5 minutes, and I was like, "This game fucking sucks," and I closed it and deleted it.
So, did you ever play? Do you play hero shooters, or are they
No,
not? your
I
jam?
never played Overwatch either.
Right.
Not my thing. I love
Alright,
League of
so-
Legends though.
Marvel Rivals, when it was in beta, got a lot of flack because people kept saying Overwatch killed the genre. The only game close to it is Paladins, and Paladins isn't nearly as big. But we got a lot of these other smaller hero shooters, and you're trying to create a game for a market that's already oversaturated with this stuff, and there's already a king. It's never going to dethrone that. Well, here we go. Marvel Rivals is here. I think Marvel Rivals is going to put the nail in the coffin for Overwatch. Overwatch will always probably still be around because there's a lot of people that just have a lot of time invested in it, and the experience is a little bit different. Like, it's a solved game. Like, the people that play it, and especially the people that stream it or play it a lot, like when a new season rolls around and they do new damage patches or new balance patches or bring out new heroes, within like 3 or 4 weeks, like the meta is solved like instantly, right? And Marvel Rivals, because of how the game is structured, doesn't exist, right? Because they have things that Overwatch should have, like hero bans and comp. Like, it's one of the ways, and they do things like seasonal bonuses for individual characters. Like right now, if you pay attention to any Marvel Rivals discourse, you will hear people say things like Hela is broken because right now she's broken. But what you don't hear people talk a lot about is that part of the reason she's broken is that she has a damage boost for the current season that we're in. And when the season rolls over, a lot of characters are going to lose their boosts, and that's going to shift up the meta without them having to go and nerf a bunch of characters or change how characters work. But as you're climbing through competitive anyway, right now, like the broken characters are known. Like everybody knows who the S tier characters are. Like Hawkeye and Hela are like super broken. Luna Snow is a super broken healer. Mantis is a super broken healer. So those characters end up getting banned from diamond level or higher competitive, and it changes up how the game is played at that level. On top of that, they're getting ready to, like, they did their proto season, right? Their season 0. They've got a half size battle pass and whatever. They're going to introduce 4 new characters in the first season, and you're not going to have to pay anything for any of them. It's just going to be free content. They're going to bring in new maps. You're not going to have to pay anything for it. It's just going to be content you get for free, right? And you play. Now you're going to have, they have a ton of microtransactions, and the microtransactions are expensive. They're on the high end of what you would expect to pay for skins. I don't think they're Valorant level, but they're, they're high up there. They're at least Overwatch level, if not a little bit more expensive. But you can earn currency on the battle pass that's a 1-to-1 exchange for premium currency on top of everything. And you can earn premium currency on their battle pass. It's just doing everything right, and I think it's just going to bury Overwatch, and Overwatch is just going to go away. Personally, it is so good. If you're into hero shooters, it is so good. It's a whole lot better if you are playing with some people, not just by yourself. Solo ranked is cancer. Apologies to anybody who has cancer, but it fucking sucks. So anyway,
if you queue up with a team, do you go up against teamed queues?
The answer to that depends on who you ask. So some people don't think that there's any protection from groups. I have found I haven't seen NetEase say anything specifically about this one way or the other, but I will say that I have played with some 6 stacks trying to grind out levels in competitive. Some 6 stacks that I met up on, just randoms I met on the rival server, and the games were significantly sweatier when I was with a 6 stack than without. So that leads me to believe that we were probably facing stacks that also had communication. Okay. Do I know that for sure? No, because NetEase hasn't said anything. But that's
I was going to say, I thought that would be like communicated. The reason I ask is because some of the only ranked games I've ever played were Counter-Strike and League of Legends. I wasn't going to bring up Counter-Strike because I don't know if it has a system for that. But League of Legends has a solo and a duo queue, which will put you can bring one friend, or you can go in yourself, and it puts you in matches with people that either brought one friend or someone or solo queued. But if you want more than that, you have to go into a separate queue. it's a flex queue. It's even a separate ranked queue. Like it's completely different. Like the rank doesn't affect your solo and duo queue rank. And I think I would prefer that in most games because I don't want to queue in as a solo and go up against a team. That's not.
So there's nothing in the UI that suggests one or the other is happening.
Yeah. I would just hate that. Also, I've got a some sort of a I don't know. So if you go tons of discourse around Marvel Rivals and the roll queue.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why that's a bad idea? Because
so let's define what it is, all right? So in hero shooter games, you have characters that are in certain categories, right? And usually those roles are tank, which are characters that have a lot of hit points but don't necessarily have a lot of damage. They're characters that can go out in front of your group in order to make space for your group to be able to advance towards objectives. And they can't be ignored or easily put down by the enemy because they have so much hit points or they have some kind of defenses or something that helps keep them alive. They have some kind of sustain. You have DPS characters that are your glass cannons. Mostly they're kind of squishy, but they do a high amount of damage.
Yeah.
And then you have your support characters, and these are usually healers. They usually have some way to heal. Some of these might also be able to be like DPS on top of that, or they may be able to buff or debuff, but the main reason people take them is for healing. In Overwatch and in a lot of hero shooters, they have restrictions on how many people on each team can fill each role. In order to ensure that the teams are balanced. This is one of the reasons, like when I say Overwatch is a solved meta, like within a few weeks, it's because there are restrictions on how many tanks you can have, how many DPS you can have, and how many supports you can have, right? And so it's very easy once a balance patch has come out to determine what is the strongest combination of characters for most situations, right? Rivals doesn't have that. So they have vanguards, which are tanks, duelists, which are DPS, and strategists, which are your healers, right? And when you're playing solo queue, it is not unusual to have like one tank and one healer and a bunch of DPS because DPS is the most popular class in all of the hero shooters. Everybody also always wants to be a DPS character because it's fun killing the other team, right? And also healers get bagged on by everybody. Everyone always blames healers for their team not winning every single time, 100% of the time. But so when you're solo queuing, I have had matches. I happen to main strategist in Marvel Rivals, so I'm always playing a healer, or 99% of the time I'm playing a healer. I sometimes will flex in the DPS, but I mostly play healer. I have played many matches in solo quick play where it's 5 DPS and 1 healer, no tanks. All right. And so what happens is those characters all run forward, and when we're on attack, they actually do all right. But when we're on defense, they just get fucking rolled every single fucking time because there's no way for me to out heal all the damage coming into all these squishy ass characters. Right. And so one of the things people have asked for is for NetEase to institute a roll queue, a 2-2-2 roll queue. So 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 healers. But I don't think that that's necessary for Marvel Rivals because in the current sandbox at high level ranked play, you don't have to be 2-2-2 in order to win. You can win 1-3-1 or even 5-1. Or like 4 DPS and 2 healers. Like depending on the situation, you can flex around to do that. But there's an additional wrinkle to Marvel Rivals that isn't really out. It doesn't really exist in other hero shooters, and that's that there are character team ups. So every character has a team up with at least one other character, usually multiple characters, and that gives them additional abilities if they're in a team with that character. And some of these team ups are 3 different characters, so it could be hard to fit them into a role queue with other people playing. So, for instance, if you have Hela and Thor and Loki, So Thor is a tank character, Hela's a DPS character, and Loki is a healer. When you have those 3 characters together, every time Hela gets a kill, if Loki or Thor is dead at the time and waiting to respawn, they instantly respawn wherever that kill happened. She brings them back to life. That's a team up. It only happens if those characters are together. Another combination is if you have the Hulk as one of your tanks, if you take Doctor Strange or Iron Man alongside the Hulk, they get infused with gamma radiation and their attacks do significantly more damage. It makes Iron Man go from like a B tier character to an S tier character because he does so much more damage when it happens. And if you had role queues, making some of those team ups happen would be a little bit more difficult. Also, part of what makes Marvel Rivals fun and also super frustrating sometimes is the chaos in the role selection. So I think Marvel Rivals would probably do something if they instituted a role queue where they forced people to do it at any level, whether it's quick play comp or higher ranked comp. Although I don't think it would be a bad thing if they offered incentives for people to play classes that are underrepresented on their current team. Classes are being selected. So if you join a team and you have 4 people instantly lock DPS characters, if somebody decides to lock a healer and somebody decides to lock a tank, give them $1 worth of premium currency or give them $1 worth of the in-game currency that's 1-to-1 representative of premium currency. Give them 100 of those chips, right? As long as they play the game in that class the whole time. I think that would solve the issue personally.
They're not going to give away free money, but
I mean, they could give a more battle pass experience as well. That would be
yeah.
another thing they could do, right? So I don't think a role queue is necessary for the game. I think the game would lose something if you
You responded a bit by saying that that's not necessarily the comp you have to have in every in higher tier stuff. So if a role queue was instituted, there'd have to be a way to
it would force meta.
Manage that.
It would force a hard meta if that were to happen, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think NetEase wants that. Part of its charm is the chaos.
The only other game that I played that was like that, if you played normal, is League, right? The second you get in, everybody starts screaming out what they're going to play, or they instant lock a certain character, just say, I'm bot, whatever, fuck you. If you play ranked, you can just queue up for what you want to play, and depending on how popular the role you have is, the longer your wait time. Anybody who queues up as a support character in League of Legends, for example, gets instant queues over and over and over and over again. Whereas somebody else might have to wait 1 minute. Same with like dungeon finders in like World of Warcraft. Same thing.
Yeah.
If you pick tank or healer, instant pop. That's the benefit for them, but I don't know.
There's a cool
I don't know how you. I was just saying, I don't know how you do it in a queue system where you don't always have to have, you said 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 heals, or whatever it happens to be, but or like WoW's, you need 1 tank, 3 DPS, 1 healer. There's not an option. That's what you need to do the dungeon.
Right.
League,
you can get better with all kinds of Marvel Rivals, which is good. I like it.
All right. That is kind of interesting. Yeah, the queue would fuck with that. I don't know how they'd end up managing that.
The other thing I like about Marvel Rivals is NetEase is hyper responsive to people being toxic douchebags. As of this moment today, I am up to getting 7 people either comms banned or banned from the game entirely for the bullshit they try to say in fucking voice comms or in team text chat. And I think it's great. You say the N-word one time and it gets reported, you are fucking gone. And you're not just fucking gone after they review it. Like, you'll be gone in like 30 minutes. Somebody will have reviewed it. Their algorithm will have reviewed it and thrown your ass out of the game. You're done.
That's
Go,
crazy.
go, go,
I like
go
that.
start a new account. And they let you know if you report somebody, you get a little mail saying, "Thank you very much for making Marvel Rivals a non-toxic space or a welcoming place," something like that.
That's
Some
cool.
really super soy, you're a puss bag message, but I love it, and I don't care if anybody gets mad about it.
Oh, I love that too. I love it. Okay, no, that's good. Okay, Marvel Rivals. Rect likes it, chat.
Yeah.
Rect likes it.
I like it enough that I might try to do an SGC Marvel Rivals little event here in a few months, second quarter of the year.
Just kidding. You can do it.
Also free to play, so go try it.
All right, let's take a look at the questions that you might have for the community. We're getting pretty late into this thing.
Yeah. All right.
I'll talk about Black Myth after that. We'll wrap the show up with it.
Okay. Let's take a question from Hyatt. How do you see the future of Destiny 2 with the recent article I've read and the issues Bungie is currently facing? Lots of bugs, layoffs, lowest player count ever. We know the Frontier era has promised to take us to new places, but what if that player count stays the same for the expansion? Hold on, I lost my place. It's a lot. Well, Bungie down to just 850 employees working between Destiny and Marathon, it looks like resources might shift to Marathon in the coming year. Do you think that if 2025 content does not perform at ways they need to, Bungie might consider putting Destiny down and focus on Marathon?
Depends on how well Marathon does. Okay, so to answer your questions, yeah, well, a lot is depending on Frontiers, Apollo specifically. Apollo's got to be, a banger, but like everybody's going to be expecting the final shape level of expansion, and they're not going to get it. They literally said these are going to be smaller expansions, and you had specifically mentioned if the player count stays low. If the player count stays low, less and less money will continue to be put into expansions, and they'll be less and less big until more and more people complain and stop playing the game until it eventually goes away. So my point here is saying, yeah, Apollo is really important for the future of Destiny. It's got to be good enough to get people excited and interested. It's good that it has a raid that's going to help the heart, like that part of the community, that 10%. The problem that they're having is retaining the other 90% of the people that play the game on a regular basis. And I don't know how they're going to do that. I think they need to do more strikes. Sorry. I've always been a component for strikes, baby. Strikes are the best. There was more points to that question. It was so long. You got to remember about the number, the 850 number from that's the size Bungie was in 2020. They doubled the size of their studio during COVID, and then they trailed that back. So 850 was the size of their studio when they pumped out Forsaken. So you don't necessarily, I don't think you should look at that number and go, oh, that's a problem. I think you should just look at the most recent results of the community and go, oh, there's a problem there somewhere. Because there was likely a bunch of people working on Marathon and the other projects back then as well. So I don't necessarily think, I'm sure there's less people working on Destiny, which is why the expansions are going to be smaller. But I don't think it's a significant number. And yeah, maybe they pull resources to get Marathon onto the shelves. But I also think Sony, part of the reason Sony is creating these other development teams is to assist with things like that. So I suspect if Bungie needs help getting Marathon out the door, that you'll see help from the other studios that are being filled with Bungie employees rather than the people working on Destiny. Unless Sony's given up on Destiny, which they totally could have, and could just say, "Yeah, let's put all our chips in a marathon." I don't think that's the case, though. Not yet,
Me
anyway.
neither. It's not even going to sell for AAA price, right? It's going to be.
Yeah.
Be
Also,
the lowest
game. The lowest player count in Destiny history, being 25,000 or whatever it was, is still better than most games of service. Like, a lot of people look at something like, I don't know, Call of Duty pulling in 300,000-400,000. Like, it's the biggest multiplayer game in the world. Like, don't compare the two. Destiny is hands down the most successful looter shooter game of service of all time.
Yep.
And even in some of the heights of games like Borderlands or The Division or The Avengers, even their heights didn't even hit Bungie's or Destiny's lowest player count of all time. So yes, of course, the lower that count gets, the less resources are going to be put into the game. It's just the way it works. They need to make money. They have goals to hit. And yes, if that gets lower and then less content gets made and less people play, then eventually Destiny will disappear. But there's got to be something on the horizon. Nobody goes from the most successful game of service, most successful looter shooter game of service of all time to let's not do a follow-up because after 10 years, Destiny stopped making money. Nobody's going to make that choice. That's got to be if they did, that'd be the dumbest shit I've ever heard in the history of in the gaming community. There's got to be something. They got to be working on something. Not necessarily right now, but like if they plan on abandoning Destiny at some point, they're working on a replacement. Whether it's Destiny 3 is a different IP or they're all going to surprise us with Marathon being this crazy story PvE extraction shooter raid thing. I don't know. It's not going to be. But my point is they've got they'll have something cooking on the burner if they decide to abandon Destiny for one reason or another.
I think I've turned the corner on wanting a Destiny 3. And I can actually, it's Fortnite that actually maybe come to that conclusion. Fortnite has only had one; it's never had a sequel, right? There was the game that existed before what is currently Fortnite, like Fortnite Save the World or whatever, back when it was just build bases, fight zombies, right? And then it turned into Battle Royale. How many times has Fortnite iterated on itself now? Either completely put in new sub games like the Lego version inside itself, or completely overhauled itself in the same title without having to put out a sequel.
Well, they're constantly putting in new like mechanics and stuff. Just a year ago, they completely changed the engine overnight. Obviously, they didn't make it all overnight, but they went from whatever their original engine was to Unreal, and it really changed the game. I know it's not the same thing, but
I don't think Bungie needs to put out another game. They just need to be willing to take some more risks with the content. They need to stop worrying. They need to. I don't want to say they're worrying because I don't know if they're worrying, but they need to be willing to take more risks in how they innovate the game to really alter how things play in like more meaningful ways. I mean, they need to do things like upgrade the engine so we don't have all the bugs that we currently have, right? But that's the technical stuff. The technical backend stuff I'm not really worried about. It's making the game interesting, even if it means, hey, a bunch of your loot goes the fuck out the window. It's no good anymore. It's not useful for anything. I don't fucking care. If the game is still good and there's still more loot to go chase, I'll do it. But just, man, invent some more stuff to make Destiny like a little bit different than what it is right now, right?
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely think so. I do think the problem is no matter what they put into Destiny 2, they've still lost a lot of people that are never coming back. And I think the only reason that they would make a sequel is
Try to
because
recapture
that will
base.
recapture that entire player base. Well, maybe not
Yeah.
the entire player base, but we're talking like 10 million
It
people
would
that are
bring
never going to
in
come back.
It would
That
bring
the-
in a whole slew of new players that wouldn't come back, that wouldn't try the game otherwise. Not come back, but wouldn't even
It'll
try
bring
the
in
game
new
otherwise.
players. It'll bring
Yeah.
people that haven't come back in years back to Destiny, and it'll create a lot of talking or whatever. Anyway, a lot of stuff. I think that would, but I mean, if they drop the ball on that, like if they did that and they dropped the ball on it, like those people aren't going to stay. So if they did it, they have to produce something that's worth it to keep the Destiny 2 year 1, year 2, year 3 numbers, and not just go, oh, we had 1 million concurrent players for 14 hours, and now we're back down to 30,000 after spending 4 years and $200 million on development. Like, they've really got to have a banger to come with it. But I think that's the only way they recapture that player base. Unless they somehow market the shit out of some crazy expansion. But I just don't think that they're ever going to have a big enough budget to create something that's going to bring those people back.
Well, I tend to agree. I just feel like if they would spend a good amount of effort, like overhauling one of our experiences into something like completely new. Like just like take like Strike playlist, right? Just go with everything that's in the Vanguard node, and just take that Strike playlist and turn it on its head and give us something new in the Strike playlist, some new way to engage with it. Even if that means like the same strikes are there and maybe they add a few, but just some different ways to actually play it. Something different than we added a few new modifiers, right? They've done some stuff in the past that for the Nightfalls in particular that kind of filled that idea. I just wish they would get back to that. Some more ways for you to customize your experience, or some different ways to engage with it, some different mechanics to engage with it, some different loot in there that you have to do. You have to engage in certain ways to get it, that kind of stuff. Do you remember the what was it? The card that Xur used to sell that you could modify
Your
the
Nightfalls to get higher
difficulty
points. Yeah.
of your Nightfalls, right?
That's the only way you could get like some of the weekly scores was to
Yeah.
modify.
So, I mean, stuff like that, but even more expanded than that, be able to apply more specific modifiers yourself, right? And maybe have some things change in the strike depending on the amount of extra stuff you added. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I'm trying to think of things that happen in roguelikes that allow that make the runs. You play a roguelike through like the story, whatever the story is. Kind of building up yourself as you go. But then usually in most roguelikes, the mechanics change the second time you go through it, right? You can add modifiers to make it more difficult, or like actual mechanics change on subsequent playthroughs or whatever. Like, I really think Destiny needs some of that to really get some life going.
I think that would be really interesting and really good. Yeah, like when you were talking about that, I was like, oh yeah, totally. Because one of my favorite roguelites is Dead Cells, and the way that game works is you go on your run, whatever, you find some weapons. Sometimes they're new weapons that you've never seen before, and it unlocks them in your starting area. You can see them all hanging from the wall, right? And then you'll see those guns or abilities or weapons more often. So the more you do, the more you unlock, the more stuff that you have, the more stuff that is in your little home base. Maybe you can upgrade those things so they're even stronger if you find them in the thing, based on points from doing. Like, go full on roguelite in these activities, as opposed to Here's some modifiers you can choose from. We made a roguelite mode. Oh, fuck off. No, you didn't. All you did is you made a maze that has different paths, but those paths are always the same if you go down them. That's not a roguelite.
It doesn't even have to be something crazy like take the path. Well, for your Dead Cells, I mean, when you played Dead Cells the first time, you got through the end.
Yeah.
You don't even realize after you fight the boss the first time that that's not actually the boss, right? You get through the story and you kill the king, but that's not the boss. That's not the Dead Cells boss. You got to keep playing in order to get to the timekeeper guy in order to fight him later, right? So I mean, there's more to it. The more you go through, I just blew Greener's mind. He didn't know there's another boss. Holy shit! Spoilers.
I haven't played the game in like 2 years, but like, yeah, I beat the king. I was like, game over.
Yeah, but that's not. He's not even the final boss. He's only the boss the first time you play through, right?
Yeah, but nothing happened.
Oh, well,
why would I play it again if I beat it? I don't understand.
So I mean, maybe they could do some stuff like that. Maybe the first time you play a strike, and you achieve certain goals, there's more to that strike afterwards.
Well, that's the thing. They did talk about kind of, well, it depends. Their wording is weird, but the raids, the potential for the raids, like not the same idea, but like expanding, like putting new encounters in a raid that already exists. I think that's also a great idea. It's a good way to refresh the content that already exists without having to make a brand new thing. So it's kind of a similar little thing. You could have it set up that I've said it before on the podcast. Like World of Warcraft has always done that with their raids. They release the beginning of the raid at the beginning of expansion, and then every couple of weeks they release a new encounter and new story beats and new stuff, and it goes all the way to finally you get to the big bad boss after like 16 weeks or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out of my head. And it's all there. It all gets released, and it's so it's
what if every week they took Pathfinder system, and maybe it still is giving you rewards for completing your Pathfinder or whatever, but maybe your Pathfinder, the way you choose your Pathfinder, is modifying how your character interacts with that playlist. Like every node you select on your path is giving you some kind of bonus or modifier. Some of them could be negative, but give you more rewards or something as you go through to allow you to customize your thing. But you have to actually play through and do the challenges in order to unlock that node to change your experience as you go along. So maybe those could be bounties, but also your modifiers. And maybe you can only select one from each level until you get to the end. But so now you need to actually look at your Pathfinder and then pick where you want to start and where you want to end up, rather than right now. I don't know if you actually look at your Pathfinders, but I just play the game, and whenever I see the Pathfinder node flashing at me, I go and see what's been checked off.
Yeah, and click it. Unless I need to do something that hasn't been unlocked, that's like right in the middle, and then I go and look at what it is I need to do. Just somebody said bring back Sparrow Racing in chat, and I just wanted to address that because one, everybody keeps talking about bring back Sparrow Racing, but it's a novelty event that people will be super excited for, and they'll come back and play it like twice, and then they won't touch it anymore. Like, it's not like game making. It's not going to save the game. I understand why they haven't put the time and effort into it, even though it would be fun. I don't think it has a player base, and how is it going to make them money? Is probably like they're probably what the question in their brain is.
Yeah.
How will oh man, pay to win. You can pay for speed upgrades. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
That won't piss off the community or anything. Anyway, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it come back. A lot of people talk about it because we could build events around it. But I mean, there's not a lot of communities like us out there that would utilize.
There could be.
Like that.
There could be if they got more.
If they brought back Sparrow. Oh, okay. No. Okay, I see. No, they'd all just come and join Shrouded because we're the best. All right, we gotta.
I don't
Is
think
there
we
any
need
other
to answer
questions?
any. I don't think we need to answer anymore tonight. We're coming up on 7:00 my time, so it's
All
that
right.
time when we normally cut it off.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes of what I think of Black Myth Wukong, because I said I was going to talk about it. So, if you've never watched a podcast before, or you've never heard me on a stream or anything, I was an advocate that Wukong was a mid game, and there's no way I should win a game of the year. I was happy when Astrobot won, but I admitted to myself that I was being a loser because I hadn't finished either one of the games. So last week I put a bunch of time into Astrobot and I platinumed it and I beat it and I gave you my impressions on it. TLDR, very good, very fun. And then this week I did the same with Black Myth Wukong. So I booted it back up, and it's one of those games that if you stop playing, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So I had to relearn how to play the game. I was in chapter 2 just before the last boss in the chapter. So I was walking up to this last boss, which was supposed to be the hardest boss in the chapter, and just getting completely fucking demolished because I had no idea how to play the game anymore. So earlier on, I had to go kind of around and kind of relearn and play the game and check out the stat points and like kind of get all that stuff into place. And then like once I got it a couple more times, I beat the boss, and then I went on to chapter 3. And I put a lot of time into Wukong this week. So I've made it all the way to pretty much the end of chapter 6, which is the last chapter of the game. So I haven't beat it yet. I'm going to have it beat and do a bunch of extra side content by next week. But I've got enough experience to tell you what I think of the game, which is it is very good. It is very good. Still not game of the year. It's a glorified boss rush game. There's over 90 bosses in this game. Very little stuff to do in between. Mind you, I will give it a little credit. The in-between stuff is much harder to do than the in-between stuff in Shadow of the Erdtree, which was one of my complaints about Shadow of the Erdtree. It felt very easy in between every boss. Wukong is a little bit harder in between every boss. So anyway, you're going through the game. You've got these really immersive skill trees that you can switch up, you can change up, you can renew your points. It doesn't cost anything. You can remove them around, and you actually have to as you go on through the game because different bosses will require different techniques and defensive points or attack points or whatever it happens to be in different areas in the game. So that's how you have to really learn the skill system. So I think that might be something where a lot of people really enjoy the concept of this game, where it's not just like I'm going to build this one thing and I'm going to demolish everything that I go through. It's no, you need to be able to pump out a ton of damage really quickly on this person to have a chance against them. And then the next person is basically you have to beat them with mechanics and you have to just stay alive as long as possible. So you got to move all your points from attack to defense. That's putting it really, really dumbed down, but that's the general concept or general idea. And another one of the things is the chapter 3 and 4 are these huge open world areas that you can explore. And basically with they've got like 5 mandatory bosses, but they have 20 bosses in the area. So you can go and do them all. So I've been going and doing a bunch of them, probably about 85% of them, not 100%. Maybe I'll go back and do them. I don't know. But every so far, every like little place had a special area you could go to, do a side quest and beat a couple bosses. And then once you beat the big bad boss, you'd get an item that made the main fight of that chapter easier. They did it in chapter 1. Or sorry, they did it in chapter 2. They may have done it in 1. I don't remember. I played it a long time ago. They did it in chapter 2. They did it in chapter 5. I'm trying to think if there was one for chapter 3 or 4. I'm trying to think who the main bosses were. I can't remember. That's funny. Anyway, it might have been in 3 and 4. So I think that's a really cool idea too. You can go do these side quests and you get things that make the main fight easier, or you can just go and do the main fight. There's a lot of armor in the game that has a lot of different abilities and defensive stuff. It's the same as the skill stats. You don't just pick the best defensive armor. You pick the armor with the best sets bonuses that match the boss that you're doing. So it's really deep in that way where you build your builds, but it's not always the same build for every character. You're moving it in and out, and you know you're doing this, you're doing that, and then this piece of armor has less defense. Well, you can upgrade them so they have the same amount of defense, but you have the right set bonuses. So it's all about switching them all out or managing your resources so you can upgrade them, upgrade the right ones at the right times, switch them all out. Same with weapons. The weapons are better for different characters. They're weak to fire or whatever it happens to be. A bunch of that stuff. It's all great. There's a lot of spells, or there's only a few spells that you can actually learn, but there's these things called spirits that you can pull into the game. Well, you don't pull into the game, but you fight. That's why all these extra bosses exist, right? They either give you equipment that you can use that makes you stronger, that you can swap out for something else that gives you a different set bonus or something of that nature, or you can absorb their spirit and you can use one of their abilities in a fight. There's like 40 of those so far. There's probably more. So there's a ton of those. So you can really arrange them into your build. And each one of them has a stat bonus associated with it. Like, for example, if you use the Wandering Light, which is like just this thing that will headbutt your enemy like really hard. It's really big. It also gives you stronger defense. So you might not like the headbutt, but you want the defense. So it makes sense. And then there's other stuff that gives you stronger flame resistance. So I talked about a bunch of stuff in that game. I totally get it. Your eyes may have glazed over. But the point of that game that I never really got before was the build system. It's all of the stuff that you can do given any different opportunity to make the next few steps forward a little bit easier, and it gives you all those options available. And it doesn't give you something that's strong enough that you can just build into that and just demolish everything. So I think it's really balanced when it goes that way. Anyway, chapter 6, you can fly. That's cool. Spoiler alert. And the area is huge, but it's just filled with 20 bosses. You go find them and kill them, and then the game's over. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm finishing it.
All right.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. So the game's better than mid. I still don't think it's game of the year. I never did. Earlier this week when I was on like chapter 4, I was like, this game still sucks. It does get better. When you start to learn that stuff more and more and more as you go through. One of the pet peeve of mine in the game is like, if it takes 20 hours for a game to get good, it's not good, right? But lo and behold, I think I'm like 32 hours into this, and it's pretty good. It's good. I used to give this game a 7 out of 10. I give it an 8.5 out of 10 now. So that's my goal.
All right.
Still not game of the year. Sorry. Astrobot, 10 out of 10. What a game. Now I got to play Metaphor Refantasio. I'm just kidding. I'm not going in. That's a 100-hour RPG. I don't have time. I still haven't played Persona 5, wrecked. If you didn't know, it's the same developer. That's why that made sense. I hate you all. Just kidding. Any Shrouded or anything you want to bring up, Doug?
No, I got nothing right now.
All right. Did you enjoy listening to us for most of the podcast?
I said some things during that entire time.
Yeah, I was away getting pizza. I remember.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm going to channel Bebo. I can't hear Dunk.
Oh,
Ah.
dear God. No, it's just like Marvel Rivals I had nothing to say about.
Yeah, that's
like
fair.
some of the other stuff I really had nothing to say about so I just stayed quiet, let you guys talk, because you have more information on that than I do or ever will.
I didn't have anything on Rivals.
We need to have a Phasmophobia and Civilization show, obviously.
Yes.
And then Dunk will not shut up the whole time.
I'm going to be honest.
Correct.
If you watched, I've already said this to Dunk, but I watched, we did the big charity stream and he did an hour of Phasmophobia. And it's one of the only hours that sat and watched instead of going to sleep. He's got so much knowledge about the game, and he makes it interesting. It's incredible. Like literally, we could have an entire Phasmophobia episode probably.
Do it. I'll do it.
As long as Dunk was on. The point, and you're just. It's why I don't like that game. That's the exact reason I actually don't like that game, is because every time I play it with somebody, not necessarily somebody like you, but somebody that does everything for me. And I never learn what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just walking into houses and either running away or getting murdered, like over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I get that these little ghost things are supposed to show dots. What do the fucking dots look like? And he's like, don't worry, the ghost projector, mark it off. It didn't work. And I'm like, but why? How? Show me. But anyway, so that's why I never got into it.
Here's the you do this game with me, I will show you how to play the game. I will have you do everything, and I will just sit back and watch.
Man, listen to that lead Sherpa. He's gonna start chirping Phasmophobia, everybody.
I can do it.
I think it would make it a lot more enjoyable. My son plays it. He loves it. He learned it all on its own. Yeah, I never got into it. I played it on VR once, shit myself.
I mean, as you saw during that stream, I nearly shit myself a couple times because the ghost just came up into my face and screamed at me, and I was like, shut up. I'm talking over here.
Yeah, that was definitely a little creepy, but I gotta say, like, I've probably said this a few more times in the past. Like, if you ever want to play a VR game that will literally make you fucking terrified, play The Exorcist in VR. Whew, that game is scary. Jesus, that game is scary. I played all 5 chapters of it on stream, and like I did not want to. Like when you're like 5 minutes into each level, you're like, I want to take this thing off so fucking bad.
Hey, Agreener, why don't you play Alien Isolation in VR on stream for us?
They've got that new one that's built for VR. It looks a little bit more action oriented though. Is Alien Isolation in VR? Like, is there a VR mode?
I'm pretty sure there's an Alien Isolation.
I should check that out. I bet that would. It's different though. There's something about supernatural shit that's happening in The Exorcist that's just so fucking creepy. It's like you can hear the alien coming through the vents normally, right?
It's a mod, but it is free.
Okay. My grandmother was the godmother of the boy the events of the movie were based on. Cool. Is she the devil? Sorry.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's wrap this up. Let's do announcements and outros.
Okay. I don't have anything to announce. Oh, I do have something to announce. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. You first.
The SGC is currently taking signups for our first ever official Fall Guys tournament. So, if you're interested in, flicking your bean around the map, you're running a tournament on the 25th. All we need is for 12 people to sign up, and we're almost there. So, head on up to the announcements channel, or there may be a link in the description down below. I point, but I don't actually have hands, as we've discussed in the past. I end just above the nipples. So anyway, go sign up, and if we could wind up with like, I don't know, 20, 24 players, that'd be awesome. 12 is the goal, but I would really like to blow it out of the park. So I know that there's interest from you can play things other than testing.
Yes, I think it's cool. I signed up, even though it's the same day I'm doing a catastrophe stream. So the Fall Guys tournament will be, or is it? Hold on. When's the date? 25th, right? Yeah,
that's the last. It's the last.
So we'll be doing the Fall Guys tournament, and then immediately afterwards will be a catastrophe stream. It'll be great. It'll be fun. I love it. And then we'll probably play Fall Guys again that night. Maybe we won't this time because we've had a tournament earlier. Yeah, you guys are looking at the Advanced GG Fall Guys Champion of the World. So, You be careful. You got to go up against me. It's okay if I win. Second place gonna get all the prizes. I promise. Okay, next. Yes. Somebody said it's January 25th, Trade Day. Somebody mentioned player of the week or player of the month stream tomorrow. Yeah, we haven't voted on that, but we'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll have AI pick the winners. I'm just kidding. Calm down. And what I was going to announce is, we've officially closed our Patreon and moved over to, we're calling it the SGC Premium Membership. Whatever. Anyway, it's over at the sgcstore.com. So it's hosted on the same platform that our merch store is hosted on. We basically just switched everything over there. I've talked to people about this for the last couple of months. If you didn't catch it on a stream, Patreon wanted me to pay taxes, so I said, nah, fuck that. So we moved to a different place. No, that's not the only reason. Patreon has always given us problems in the past. And that was just like, I'm not going to fill out that form. And our store has literally an equal thing. So having it all in the one place made sense. Since we were never able to put it on Discord because Discord sucks and they hate Canada. Anyway, point being, you can go if you had a subscription or a Patreon and you want to keep the services, please move on over to our new SGC Premium membership over at the SGC store. There's an announcement in the chat in the Discord with all the links if you want to do. If you're not going to do any of that and you are supporting us on Patreon, all payments are paused and I'm going to delete all the tiers before the end of the month. But if you want to just head over there and cancel your support, that's a triple check that everything's going to be removed. So go and do that. That way you don't get somehow billed from Patreon ever again. That's it. Go check it out. Switch it up. First month, 25% off, 10% annual subscriptions if you want to do any of that stuff. And there's a bunch of stuff you can earn there if you've never heard of our program. Discord roles, loyalty points, extended episodes of the podcast, limited edition SGC merch, and more. Go check it out. All right. That's it. Boom. Anybody else got anything? Nope. All right, beautiful. Congratulations to all our winners tonight. Remember, we give away silver every week and a hoodie and silver every month. Congrats if you didn't pick it up at the beginning. 2,300 silver to the All-Gamer, T-shirt to the All-Gamer, 6,000 silver to slothgsr, and a hoodie off to Devilito. Make sure to DM Agreener in the Discord. If you're not in the I know all these people are in the Discord, but if you're not in the Discord and want to win something free sometime, shroudedgaming.com/Discord. Come check us out. We're a big Destiny community. Sometimes we play other stuff. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching episode 91 of This Week at Shrouded. I was your host, Agreener. I know I talk a lot. I apologize. This is Mr. Rec and Dunk. Thanks for being here with us tonight, guys. Okay, and we're out.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, voice, yeah.